It's exhausting carrying the comedy load, I'll tell you that much. Everything I say is intentional and on purpose. Y'all can't do anything right.
Hi, I'm Shayne. So, Drew Afualo, you are very famous on TikTok for roasting mediocre white guys. Well, I'm not afraid of you. Because you're dead, so you can't hurt me. And so today I'm gonna roast the crap out of you. And so here goes. Okay, so I have to be honest, I'm not too familiar with your work because I haven't watched She-Hulk yet. Okay. Wow, Drew, you have such long nails. You'd think you'd be able to reach a wider audience.
Oh my God.
She can't hurt me, she can't hurt me, she can't do anything. Drew?
Oh no.
You look like if a Muppet went to ASU. I can say that because I went to ASU. Okay. A lot of your TikToks are done on the toilet. Have you thought about looking for your personality in there?
Oh no.
It's, the AC's broken in here. I have a picture here of Drew without makeup on, if we want to see it. Yeah, take that. Drew, did you know that you look like every single character in Shrek combined? I didn't even write that one. That was written by one of our writers. She's actually a female. A woman. She's okay. Anyways.
Okay.
The good news. The good news. After this, we're gonna be donating your body to a good cause. That's right. We're gonna be giving your skeleton to Home Depot for them to sell at Halloween next year. So, yeah, owned. You got it. Okay. Anyways. I roasted you, and you can't hurt me, so we're all good. And there I did it. So.
Oh, God.
Drew built an entire career going after problematic men online. She found them and roasted them until they deleted their accounts, legitimately making the internet a better place.
But enough about her, let's make this about me. So, if there's anything I've learned from Drew's content, it's that no man is safe. And while Drew is one of the first, she will certainly not be the last to call out shitty men online. So I figured I'd get ahead of it and confess every problematic thing I've ever done so no one can come after me. First on here, I have listened to probably 30 episodes of Joe Rogan.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Gets worse from here. I say mommy milkers unironically.
God.
I did tell some women to smile, but in my defense, they were watching Smosh the movie. I downloaded a mod to make Tomb Raider topless. I mean, come on, we all did. I also did the same for Mavis Beacon. I start every conversation with Amanda with, wow, you're tall, do you play basketball?
So true.
I wouldn't say I'm a Beyonce fan.
Oh.
No.
No.
But there you go, everyone. That's everything from my past, and now that I've said it all, there's nothing any of you can come after me for. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a Andrew Tate fan cam to edit.
Oh my God.
Before I begin, I just would like us all to just close our eyes and give a nice moment for Drew, okay? Okay, well, now that that's over with, what can I say? The bitch is finally dead. I know it's hard to see someone you admire and look up to dead in a casket, but if there's one thing I can say that you can hopefully take away from this funeral, is thank God it was Drew. Imagine if the person you saw in this casket was actually relevant, or dare I say, influential. The only mark Drew will leave on the rest of the world is the makeup she left on her pillowcase. However, one thing I will say is that I do miss her scary ass laugh. Sometimes I'd be with Drew and think, oh my God, are we about to get attacked by rabid hyenas? But no, Drew was just laughing at another Family Guy compilation on YouTube. We can finally see the karmic balance of the universe unravel before our very own eyes. First, we had Queen Elizabeth, and now we have Drew. Queen Elizabeth, who will be remembered as a shitty person, but nonetheless a queen. And Drew, who will be lucky enough if anyone remembers her at all. Everyone just can't wait to spend the rest of their lives without you, Drew. Now, I can stand up here and tell all of you how sorry I am that Drew is dead, but there are far more pressing issues at hand. Now that Drew is gone, I feel it's only right to talk about the future, particularly who is going to take Drew's place. Now, I know what you're thinking. Spencer, no one could ever fill Drew's shoes. And to that I say, no shit. Have you seen her feet? In fact, before Drew's passing, she was featured on an episode of Mythbusters where it was discovered that Bigfoot doesn't actually exist. Drew just enjoys walking around outside barefoot. But back to the subject at hand. No, I could never physically fill Drew's shoes. However, figuratively speaking, I think I can. How hard can it be to sit in front of a camera and insult incels? Half the time, Drew was filming and uploading videos while sitting on the toilet. That's probably why all of her videos were so shitty to begin with. I'm actually surprised Drew managed to gain the massive following she had. It really goes to show that evolution was truly wasted on the human race.
Oh my God.
I personally have no problem taking the reins on all of Drew's social media platforms. I actually have some ideas for Drew's accounts if I'm given access to them. For example, deactivation. I would love to take over Drew's social media presence with due diligence and get rid of the stains she's left on the internet. But in the meantime, Drew's now ex-boyfriend needs someone to help him grieve and process the loss of a loved one. Luckily for him, Drew has left behind an amazing friend like me who has no problem being a shoulder to cry on. R.I.P. girl.
Peep the fresh set. She can't. She's dead. I'm Patrish, your #1 fan. I've been trying to find love for years. And your standards that you hold men to have helped me in so many ways. No busted white gym bros, no scrubs without jobs, no little cuck boys, you know, the basics. Drew made a lot of videos talking about the types of men we shouldn't waste our time on. I wrote down all the red flags you've mentioned on a notes app, and the file was so big I had to delete my contacts for storage. Okay, so I met this guy, so handsome, so smart. He was the opposite of a busted white boy. You never made one TikTok warning me about extortion. He stole $100,000 from me. But I got a role in this new movie, so check me out on the Tinder Swindler. Then I met this other guy, and Drew, if you met him, you'd be creaming your coffin right now. Just wait a minute. Handsome, check. Rich and kind. Family, check. Yet again, there's something you didn't teach me. Make sure they don't eat human flesh. And he did. Guess I'll never be Miss Patricia Hammer. And that's on you. That's on you, Drew. I've been trying for so long, but I don't know what else I can do. I'm getting exhausted. Drew said no crusty white lips that are dying for chapstick, so I went and I found the moistiest boy. A moistest boy. Constantly wet. He was legally a fish, I swear to God. Drew said no receding hairline, so I found someone with the lowest hairline. His hairline went to his feet, covered in hair. It was a dog. We met on Raya. And you said all men are dogs, but does that mean dogs are men? Is it like a squares or rectangles kind of thing? Like, it wouldn't have worked out any other way because he was a DJ. Drew said no puka shells, so I found a guy who wore this really cute necklace. It was like really long and red. It was another dog. It was a leash. But don't worry, he wasn't a DJ. But he was obsessed with his mom, so anyway, we had to put him down. Always a bridesmaid. Okay, I have to go. I have a date with a bag of flour with a top hat on, and he's an ally.
Oh my God. Look at that. Big shoes. Hello, I'm Abigail Bunt. I am a member of the original feminist movement that started in the 1900s. Every time a feminist dies, I'm brought back to life to talk about what you did for our cause. Oh, Mrs. Drew. My. You were a terrible feminist. You didn't help out our cause at all. Tis, you little silly bean. We already won the battle of equality in 1920. Women can vote. We did it. It's done. It's over. We did it. Poor girl. You did all the things a true feminist wouldn't do. You swore. You drank. You were very mean, especially to men. Why would you do that when we need them to be our husbands? Tis, silly bean. And that laugh. The devil's laugh. Poor girl. You made it so hard on yourself. When being a feminist is simple. All you need to do is write a letter to the president, asking him what you need. And then you make a big sign and you hold it for days. And you walk around in a circle, banding together with your sisters. But you didn't do that. You sat on a toilet and talked about how annoying my suck-ass boy was. And how stupid his puka shell necklace was. I stood at the feet of Statue of Liberty begging for change. And asking for a modern toilet so I don't always have to throw it out the window all the time. Poor girl. Where is your sash? How is the President of the United States going to be able to see you all the way from the White House and know what you want to ask him? I don't understand you. Tis, silly bean. I will relate to you on one thing. I too was called a fat bitch once. Yes, in the town square, this man was covered in filth. But I got back at him. You want to know how? I wrote a letter to the president asking him to stop this. Stop this stuff. But that man died of chickenpox, so my problem was solved. Feminism is not an uphill climb. It's more like a walk in a circle with your sisters at the White House wearing a sash. Silly bean. Well, let me help you. I know that you're dead, but you always need to be carrying some signs. Can I get a strong man with a strong seed to bring me my signs? Oh, very modern. A t-shirt. I wish I could show my arms. Here's some signs for you. I went through your TikToks, which almost ruined my soul, and made some signs. Tell @Mikey B Chill 420 to munch my balls, Mr. President. These insecure boys don't even know how to please a woman, Mr. President. Y'all terrible men are like bedbugs, bitch. Rampant. No matter what I do, you spread like a disease. Mr. President. So long, silly bean.
It is truly heartbreaking. We've lost such a visionary. Imagine hating men. Drew Alfonso unfortunately passed away. Unfortunately passed away because she had nothing left to live for, as she single-handedly murdered every dumbass man who wasn't allowed to cry as a kid. Drew is not without sin. She will never be forgiven for appropriating white man culture by starting a podcast. And worst of all, she was a Disney adult. I'm here today to read the Boots the House Down kitty cat. I wanted to establish that I'm gay up top before her fans slit my throat. Drew gives Angela her unhinged laugh, so Angela can complete her transformation into Donnie from the Wild Thornberrys. If you don't know who that is, he's a feral child who goes... Drew also gives Angela her chunky nails so Angela can claw her way to the top of the Smosh new cast. Drew asks Shayne to return to Afualo Labs. As scientists, they're still wondering how there can be an unproblematic white guy. The current hypothesis is it's because he has no personality. Drew gives Tommy her giant eyelashes. She hopes they will shade his eyes from the blinding light bouncing off Shayne's forehead. Drew gives Amanda her agent. They needed someone to fill the type of if a tree was in Mean Girls. Drew gives Spencewuah a copy of the movie Inside Out. She thought he'd like it since he is internalized homophobia externalized. Holy shit, that was a good one. Oh my god.
Drew also gives Spencewuah her TikTok stitches so he can finally connect with a man. Drew leaves her taxidermied body to Ian, so now he can finally tell a girl about Korean action films without her walking away. And Drew gives Smosh 10 seconds to go into our archive to delete all the videos that objectify women. Wait, I'm getting word that all of our videos over 1 million views are no longer available. Drew's final wishes are that her TikToks are shown in elementary schools around the world so that young boys will grow up to be good men. And so young girls will grow up to look like a yassified organic egg. In memory of Drew, I will now spit on a collage of Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, and Andrew Tate.
Period.
Shut the f*** up!
May she rest in peace.
Bitch, really? Just kidding. I don't care. So, first things first. Are y'all being serious? Do you know who you're so afraid to roast? Because I've known Drew her whole life, and I really don't understand why everyone's so intimidated by her. If you don't know me, I'm Drew's older sister, but everyone thinks Drew is older than me. She's taller, more confrontational, but nobody talks about how I literally did her FAFSA every year she was in college, even after I graduated, and she's still in college. I was in charge of it. I don't know why. She calls herself Baba Yaga, but I didn't realize that Baba Yaga spent her weekends watching live performances of Legally Blonde on YouTube. The Broadway version, girl, not the movie. The movie would make more sense. I honestly believe that she would have deleted her entire TikTok account for a Diet Coke, even though they're available like literally everywhere. She makes fun of men, but she has the most toxic male trait. Almost every time I spend time with her, she'll literally stop our conversation to say, "Oh my gosh, this reminds me of this one scene in Family Guy." And lastly, I'll end on this. A question I received throughout her entire career is, has she always been like this? And to this I will say, she would always bully back the people that bullied me. In preschool, before Drew was moved into my class, I would always get designated when we play house to be the dog or the grandpa. But when Drew was there, she would make herself the mom, I would be the aunt, and all the mean kids were the dog and the grandma. Thank you.
I'm so glad you guys are all here. First of all, I just want to say, this is the whitest funeral I've ever seen. This is for sure not mine. Anyways, I'll just go down the list. Okay, first we'll start with Ian. One of the original Smosh brothers, whichever one isn't Anthony. Even your bio on Instagram says it. It says that the second cutest Smosh brother. Congratulations. And you know what they say? Always a bridesmaid, never Anthony. I'm so glad you brought up your movie. I didn't see it, as did most people, I'm sure. Next, we'll move on to Shayne. Shayne, you pissed your pants. Little piss boy. That's you. A white dude who thinks taking up-close photos of their forehead on the internet is very relatable. That's a BuzzFeed quiz, babe. Love. What's funny is you could literally be Ian and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between either of you. Are you also the other Smosh brother? Probably. You also look like someone who would announce a pregnancy with their partner and say, "We did a thing." Those are the vibes you give me. Go back to shitting your pants, babe. Next, we have Tommy. Okay, love your hair. That's not the joke. I do admire, though, that you're holding on to the top of it as it hangs down. Given your genetics, it's not looking too good. I would hang on to that, babe. I love someone who lives on the edge, though. A dice roll, I love that. You also look like someone who says, "Aren't you gonna get dressed?" after I've already been dressed. And I love that for you. Tell me that's not you. I mean, gay, I love it. Amanda. First of all, suffragette, love. Will say they were not fighting for my rights. I will say that. If they were here today, they wouldn't care about me, babe. Can tell you that. Also, they're in hell, so when you die, I'll see you down there. Speaking as you personally, though, I never make fun of women, so I will say nothing really but compliments. I do love how your eyes are so large and in charge. As a bug-eyed bitch myself, yes. I love the representation. I also love that I can tell, I knew you were tall. I could tell by your Instagram pictures you were tall. Mm-hmm. Jolly Green Giants link up, bitch. Yes. Love. Angela. Again, I never make fun of women. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't make fun of you because I genuinely couldn't find anything about you. I couldn't find one thing specific to you on your Instagram, babe. You have lots of content of other people. Are you running from someone? Jason Bourne. And last but not least, my good friend Spencer. At least I thought we were. Bitch, I love how you're so comfortable being yourself. no matter who it repels. Partners, friends, business opportunities. You don't care at all. I love that for you. Confidence, we love her. Self-confidence is important, but self-awareness, you need that. You need more of that. I also love, just like as a side note, I'm so glad you took time off from cooking with your rat Remy in Paris. As a Disney adult, I know that. I'm so glad you took time off though. I'm sure the kitchen is missing their sous chef. I'm sure they are.
Oh my God.
And last, my sister, Deison, she ran off, as she should. I will say, I'm glad she took time off from dating ugly people to come here and make fun of me. I love that for you. Anyways, also before I go back down to hell, who is this man? Okay. I didn't remember because, again, another white guy. You all look the same. Well, I'm gonna go back down. See y'all there.